Flashing light warning from 119 to 132. If you are sensitive to flashing lights, please skip that sequence.
Welcome back to the commentary broadcast brought to you by Dick Cheney and the Cheney Girls. Introducing your host, Fist Warrior, proud recipient of the Brain Damage Prize and the first man to be hit by a Model T. Hello and welcome back to the daily commentary YouTube broadcast available on AM and FM radio, iHeartRadio, and Kick. Sponsored by Steaks. Let's get those iPad babies on the slots. On today's docket for possible video topics, Idub seems to have a new bi-curious haircut after his episode of Queer Eye, Ty Lopez has been constructing Pacific Rim Jaegers for the Coast Guard, and Ray William Johnson's sanguinary catamaran has been found abandoned in international waters. Well, that's all the news for today. Remember to follow the video and thumbnail guidelines and adhere to the fresh online white boy spectrometer. And remember, Elizabeth Warren was our first choice. Also, scratch that, there's something far more important. It seems that YouTuber Colleen Ballinger has published a grooming apology in the form of a song on the ukulele. This is a DEFCON 1 situation. We haven't seen something like this since Smosh was implicated in the Iran-Contra situation. Every commentary YouTuber must drop their current videos and make something on this right now. Do you hear me?
Okay, well now I have to make that video.
Hi, I'm Ro Ramden, professional talker on the internet. Has this ever happened to you? Marge Simpson Wife Simulator. No, that's my full phone number, last name, first name, middle name, childhood pet name, and mother's maiden name. Well, then you may need help from today's sponsor, Incogni. Incogni is a web service that lets you automatically reduce spam, remove yourself from online databases and data broker lists, and prevent scam attacks. Thanks, Incogni. Now 9-year-olds will stop swatting me when I play Rainbow Six Siege. Although Incogni can't stop me from putting my own address in chat and telling them to pull up for the Rumble of the Ages. Data brokers are constantly siphoning and selling data from people on the internet, using it to send spam emails, texts, or advertise based on searching. It can not only be annoying, but a huge violation of privacy. Using Incogni is an easy way to fight back. All you have to do is sign up, give them permission to work for you in your favor, and they'll jump into action getting your info taken down, contacting data broker lists, and putting on all the elbow grease that you don't have to. This is something that I personally feel I need to implement. As a public figure, I really don't want my personal information out there, so this is an amazing resource for me. And as an extra little bit of testimonial, the day before Incogni reached out to me, I was talking to another friend who is a YouTuber, and they were waxing poetic about Incogni, about this service, and how much they had used it to get all of their personal information taken down. So I can say to you that I have personal testimony from somebody who was using it even far before me, who really loves it. So if you want to reduce spam emails, spam texts, scams, get information off of the internet if it belongs to you,
Then be one of the first 100 people to use code RORAMDEN at the link below to get 60% off of Incogni. Thank you so much, and let's get back to the video.
Hi, welcome back to Rock Bottom. I'm a loan shark who's gonna run you over with a Toyota Tercel. Where's my money, fucker? Many people, and by many people I mean nobody, have been asking where I've been for the last month and a half, and between the private flights to the white sands of the Maldives and swimming through the physical Bored Ape NFTs in my offshore bank accounts, I've mostly been trying to get psyched up to take antidepressants and playing the Watergate board game.
Tricky dick, you son of a gun. I think I'm gonna stop taking Lexapro forever.
It's just about my luck that my hiatus overlapped with a YouTube cultural event that left a nuclear crater. We haven't seen a disaster like this since Chernobyl. They dredged the river downstream of Miranda Singh's Sicilian castle and found 3-headed catfish and the creature from the Black Lagoon. The River Monsters guy is trying to turn the area into a UNESCO heritage site. I'm not playing you. If you take a Giger counter down there, it sounds like an Aphex Twin album. The surrounding Italian countryside has a population that looks like the Mos Eisley Cantina band.
What? Okay, well now I have to look up Aphex Twin and Giger Counter and Cialis coupon 100% discount.
Can you stop talking over me and can we get back to the video?
Yep, sorry.
Okay. No, I'm getting ahead of myself though. What happened, right? What's the context? And for clarification, this is absolutely only for my mom who watches the videos, because all of you already know. Well, there's this YouTuber, Colleen Ballinger, otherwise known as Miranda Sings, who made essentially kids comedy content. She embodied a silly character for children. And lately there has been a resurgence of allegations levied at her years ago by minors who were in group chats where she sent some very inappropriate messages and essentially groomed a 16-year-old boy into running some of her social media, then destroyed
his reputability and shit-talked him to the whole community because he made a tweet that got her a little backlash. Essentially, gross misuse of her power and platform and incredibly irresponsible interactions with fans, alongside a cultural reckoning with old videos that contain things like mocking Korean people using Gangnam Style, dancing to Beyonce in blackface, talking about abusing her childhood dog, other racist stuff, and most importantly, not really ever being funny in any of them. Some of these allegations came out years ago, but eventually fizzled out. She was able to tame the narrative and escape any real consequences, but this time, not so much. So her career is what we in the business like to call functionally over. She's fucked. She's got nothing in her excuses bag that makes up for any of that. I forgot about racism.
No!
My twin sister did it.
No!
I'm a neurodivergent grad student.
No!
Right? My twin sister is neurodivergent.
No!
Okay. You know, in a sense, being canceled is a fate worse than death. No, it's not. I just wanted to feel the shape of the words in my mouth. It felt like steel wool and live bird. Last time we saw a white woman in a pickle like this, we got a Sofia Coppola movie about it. And in a case like this, with one's back against the wall and the common people against you, the guillotine's primed, the torch is lit, and the pitchforks sharpened, will you let them eat ukulele-shaped cake?
Does anybody know how to play We Are the World 2?
So Colleen comes out with a 10-minute Hellenistic epic of an apology. Her musical odyssey, her siren song, sales of Anthemosa drift towards her delicate voice until they notice that she's saying the only two things I ever groomed are my 2 Persian cats. Oh, brother! It's hard to explain how truly atrocious this apology is. It is so bad that I can't watch it for more than like 15-second bursts. You'd have to Clockwork Orange me to get me through the full minute. It's like electroconvulsive therapy, but you're hooked up to a Tesla battery. There's a profoundly evil energy coming from this video. I presume this is the feeling the priest got walking into the Exorcist house. Now, just a disclaimer, if you're concerned that this video is solely about the apology, it is not. I will expand into further topics, specifically about commentary as we make our way through. I just want to cover this apology in a cursory sense because I do think it's interesting and I do think there are things that people aren't saying. Now, for the plethora of commentary videos made on this apology, it is not exceptionally complicated at its core. It's a simple series of spin tactics starting from the very beginning. Early in the video, Colleen says that her team told her not to speak on the issues, and some people took this as face value, essentially saying what a terrible mistake she made. But I don't think that there was enough conversation around the fact that this is a framing device in itself, one that is intended to act as a rhetorical strength, not a weakness. Although it backfired spectacularly, the intent of saying something like this is twofold. The first purpose is to disarm the audience, frame this obviously scripted apology as something more off the cuff, more spontaneous. And the second purpose is to present a false sense of earnesty, that this is an anti-corporate, from the heart, nothing to hide apology. Of course, the failures of this apology are very easy to see. Colleen has loads to hide, and throughout it, it is very clear that she would rather play off the gravity of these allegations and past transgressions, shrugging and saying she knew no better and has grown, has taken accountability even with no visible accountability having been taken. Colleen absolutely is delusional here, but the intent of the video was to use a whimsical tone in itself to absolve herself of some guilt and blame. E.g., how could this person be so bad when they're taking this in such a silly direction? But a huge problem with this framing decision is that all of Colleen's whining about being hated, harassed, berated feels hugely misplaced within this bizarre musical display of innocence. This, combined with a clear rejection of reality, gives this video a weird, almost surreal feel. The whole video is about how her actions were misrepresented or taken out of context or vastly blown out of proportion, but she isn't able to show a shred of evidence in her favor because, well, it didn't exist. Her actions weren't just weird, they were harmful, irresponsible, and outright offensive, and her incessant denial of this creates such a weird tone. Because of this contradiction, the video almost functions as a self-fulfilling satire, a living, breathing oxymoron. Engaging with it is as useless as it is entertaining, a video consumed so completely by its own failure that it barely exists outside of cultural perception of it. It is the surface of boiling hot water, a gravitational force on itself, an utter train wreck too narcissistic to be worth anyone's time, and because of that, we must look at it, we must unpack it, we must become the audience it does not deserve. It would buckle under its own weight if we were not there to witness it 1, 2, 3, 8, 12 million times, propelling it to Colleen's most watched video, past the announcement of her first pregnancy, one of the most important moments in her life. When a cultural locus like this is created in front of our eyes, it's almost incomprehensible. These aren't things that happen when we're looking usually. They are supposed to happen in secrecy, in journals, in the corners of the internet normal people do not frequent. Disasters are supposed to happen in the comfort of privacy, but what happens when something so poisonous, so awful, refuses to be invisible? Colleen Ballinger took hours of her own life to write, compose, and perform a song invalidating the testimony of children, an act so heinous and irresponsible it is like staring at a solar eclipse, and we cannot stop watching it, cannot stop talking about it. We are obsessed with it. Other YouTuber apologies simply do not compare. Nothing has ever been this bad. Not Shane Dawson, not iDubbbz. Colleen's video stands alone as a bastion of poor decision making. In fact, it is so bad that not only did it warrant parody, parodies of this non-existent situation existed before the video was published. The Nostradamuses of YouTube were on this shit years ago.
In the wake of all of this, I find myself experiencing a form of perverse empathy for Colleen, but not in any materially important way. Now, to be clear, I don't think any of her actions are responsible, defensible, and I don't quote-unquote feel bad for her. What I mean by this is that it is almost nauseating to witness somebody so completely convinced that she will get what she wants, that there is a right to be made, apologies to be given, and that she should be a recipient of them. Like a spoiled child, baffled that she is bound by the same gravity that holds everybody else to the ground. In that way, it doesn't feel like I'm watching a manipulator or a gaslighter or a kind of creepy person. Rather, it feels like I am watching somebody's earth shatter, watching the impact of their irreconcilable ego and the consequences of their actions colliding. I can't help but suspect that maybe she wants me to think this, though, that this level of delusion of misbehavior is so ridiculous that she wants us to infantilize her, relieve her of this status of adulthood, diminish her in a way she never could. Maybe when she can't make herself any smaller or less harmful, she creates a context, a tantrum, and hopes that we do the work for her. Of course, this is completely unprovable, maybe even useless to say, and I don't necessarily think it is responsible to invent this scheme. I of course don't mean to describe Colleen as a genius puppet master, more of a bumbling schemer. I hope that these observations and extrapolations read as just that, things I think I saw and am now talking about. In fact, as I write this, I still haven't watched the full apology. I've seen countless clips, jokes about it. I've read the transcript front to back, but I don't actually feel the need to watch it. I can't, really. It makes me feel physically sick. It's cringe and malevolent. You can't get much worse than that. What makes it even worse is that in her video, she predicts what I'm saying. She predicts that we'll call her a gaslighter, a manipulator, that her behavior is narcissistic, that her song is shitty, as though this shields her from the reality of her actions. It comes across like a last-second justification, like maybe this is all garbage, but I know. Maybe I sound like a gaslighter or a manipulator, but I know that's okay. But that just doesn't do anything. All it tells us is that you understand that your behavior is coming across very poorly. Okay, I'm done talking about her, but I just thought that was interesting. So in the days following Colleen's video, my good friend and YouTuber made this tweet which sums up the whole situation nicely. Side note, Mia is an absolutely criminally underrated creator. If you like high-octane commentary or essay stuff, please check them out and subscribe. And then days later, she published this tweet, which contains screenshots of commentary YouTubers talking about her tweet, which was talking about their videos, which means we need to talk about commentary. Commentary YouTube, the content cesspool where comedians with anxiety disorders went when they couldn't get through their type 5 without throwing up. I'm talking about me, that's me. I'm talking about that's me. Before I go any further, I would like to say that I will be at length criticizing commentary YouTube, YouTube culture, and myself, but I will not be criticizing these individual creators. A lot of these creators are kind, entertaining people doing their best in this algorithmic nightmare and are not deserving of targeted vitriol. I've been doing YouTube for around 1 year and 9 months, and the whole time I've considered myself to an extent to be a commentary creator. And for a while I took some amount of pride in this. When I grew up, YouTube was full of awful clickbaity filler content, and when I was younger I perceived the new wave of commentary YouTubers to be an instrumental and crucially entertaining aspect of the YouTube platform. In a way it felt like checks and balances. Sure, there were garbage videos, but so long as there were funny, insightful people criticizing those videos and the culture that produced them, I was excited to be a watcher of those people. That being said, in my eyes, commentary YouTube has shifted, and nowadays I find myself sometimes ashamed to call myself a commentary creator. The thing is, I'm convinced that this isn't just something that happens to me, although maybe I'm one of the only folks who truly feels bad about this.
It's equally important here to state that I'm probably looking back on that time with rose-tinted glasses. I was 14 and not very intelligent. I mean, the face of commentary YouTube was leafy as here, and my 8th grade English teacher was having us read poems and then being like, that was written by a young man named Tupac. Ever heard of him? And we were like, no. I mean, what do you expect from us? We're children. We know Asher Roth, Ludacris, and Big Time Rush. I get pissed off thinking about that plot twist she tried to pull sometimes, because how are we supposed to react? When I was a child, I had zero situational awareness. Losing my Club Penguin password, falling into a pit of cobras, and heart disease were coexisting in my head, and I had no ability to organize them into a formal hierarchy. I was just learning too much. It's like I just learned how to do a handshake, and now you're asking me to roll over, and now I'm taking a class about sex and learning about algebra the next period, and then I'm learning about the Civil War. That's a calamity every 45 minutes. Plus the class I took that was just a 60-year-old divorced deaner who looked like Ron Perlman that just screamed Santa isn't real over and over. Nothing that stressful has happened in my life since. The influx of information there is only rivaled by past life regression to a scroll keeper in the Villa of Paparai. See, before I made videos, I thought that commentary creators disliked the things they talked about, but now I think that commentary YouTubers love drama. You might say no, this isn't possible. My little Pookie Bear Angel Prince comfort creator who makes deep dives about the Lindbergh baby couldn't possibly love drama, but guess what? People lie. You really think there's a war on drugs when the US is in the Middle East sucking up opium with little bug catchers? No, it's official DOJ policy that every white boy gets a perk 30. As far as I'm concerned, yeet is a project of American imperialism. Henry Kissinger drifts off to out the way every single night. He's a real geeker off that Southeast Asiatic morphine. For more information, look up Henry Kissinger, Cambodia, truth. Yeah, look, comma, yeet, comma, young lean, comma, rip squad. No, you see, commentary YouTubers love it when something bad happens. It means we can make a video about it. I would be making videos on the Halifax explosion for the next year if MatPat had something to do with it. If Jenna Marbles was the Golden State Killer, we would never hear the end of it. Today we're gonna do a deep dive on the time Drew Gooden's ties to Al-Qaeda were leaked and he was imprisoned for life on Al Jazeera. I was considering messaging Drew and having him film a little insert after that, but I decided that he's probably way too busy. Training Al-Qaeda in search, oh, hold on, I'm getting a message.
Stop spreading that rumor about me. It's not true. I don't know Al-Qaeda. Cut it out. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm at the gun store. I'm trying to buy 40 guns. For me.
Oh, I did message him about it. Now, this isn't to say that creators are just brainless, soulless content farms. To every Twitter user who hurls criticism and deriding comments at the commentary YouTube community and format, I'm sure the creator you are writing to, myself included, has felt the same type of way, that their content was inadequate or basic or clout chasing, but continued on the same path for a simple reason. Money. And not money in a dark, profit-maximizing, sludge kind of way. Money in an I like to pay my bills kind of way. YouTube can be incredibly lucrative, yes, but for a lot of creators, especially smaller ones, it isn't a money printer. It's far from perfect. And at the end of the day, in a career dominated by a fundamentally unpredictable algorithm and the whims of massive cultural trend shifts, a safe video topic that is going to get views might be the best option on any given day. A safe thumbnail just might be the best bet. That isn't to say that this is a good thing, just that it is explainable, that an explosion of content on a singular relevant topic isn't random or unmotivated.
Okay, stop me if you've heard this one, guys. 3 commentary YouTubers walk into a bar. The first one orders a beer. The second one orders a Shure SM7B podcast microphone. The third one says they should start a podcast, and then we smash cut back to the Jubilee video they're all reacting to, right?
What the fuck is a commentary YouTuber?
Okay,
Did you know that Noah Sampson and I were going to start a podcast until we realized we didn't wanna? It's true. I get in front of a podcast mic and I get seasick. Listen, I'm not trying to complain too much. There are worse things to be than a commentary creator, like a rat or a beetle. End of list. But it's nice to be the lowest common denominator sometimes. If the internet is a young buck in its prime, I'm a tick that's carrying Lyme disease. I'm in parasitic freak mode. The only thing that separates me and a xenomorph is BMI. Put me in creator clash and I'm shambling around the ring like a Call of Duty zombie. I mean, look at the commentary YouTube fodder these days. We're one restraining order short of employment at the Daily Sun. That being said, I still like to think of myself as a cool Butch Cassidy type, a content crusader and someone who speaks truth to power and fights the system. Not in a QAnon MGTOW way, more in a Bob Ross type of way. Sometimes I fear that I come off too silky smooth and milquetoast, like, who here knew I was a communist, right? Do I talk about that enough? And do not send this video to my grandmother, she doesn't want to hear that. On the other hand, the other parts of me are too strong, like I was a theater kid in high school, but you already knew that because trying to get rid of the stench of being the treasure of the thespian troupe is like trying to wash blood out of linen. It's an eternal curse too, it hangs over my head. Do you know how embarrassing it is to be a clockable theater kid? Almost as embarrassing as being a TikToker turned commentary YouTuber. Oh wait, that's me! Being a theater kid is harder than abject poverty. I'll say it. If I do chorus line choreography in the wrong borough, I'll be keel-hauled and turned to a blood eagle. I'm a trans woman of color, and the worst marginalization I face is that of being a part of the cult of Thespis. That being said, I'd love for us to never talk about this again because it makes me so embarrassed that I get all puffed up and sweaty and I look like Robert De Niro in Raging Bull. Sorry for the construction, but another thing I kind of think about all the time is, who are commentary YouTubers to even give our takes on anything? You look at all the biggest commentary YouTubers, even the smallest ones like myself, who are we to have an opinion? I'm a 21-year-old college dropout. Not to give academia all the credit, but I thought that white flight was an alternate name for Superman until sophomore year of high school. I can barely take care of my plants. I'm in $10,000 of debt to the IRS, and that's true. Like, why am I up here giving my opinion? But at the end of the day, you're probably not clicking away from this video after I said that, unless you're an IRS agent, in which case, hey, go easy, bud. Go easy, bud. You don't want to hear about the $50,000 of unmarked bills that I got from dealing meth. Come on. But it really isn't about credentials or opinions. It's just about the person. It's about personality, and that's totally fine. But I sometimes feel like maybe there's too much weight put on our opinions, because they're not very important. I'm not very important, or at least I'd like to think I'm not. That would make me scared. I assume that a neighbor can hear me right now, and that's making me freak out a little bit. Oh geez, they know that I'm fiending for YouTube views, so I'm making a Colleen Ballinger video. This is great. All right. Back to the other stuff.
The commentary format is an interesting one because it is based on the idea that the one person is delivering their opinions, insight, and entertaining quips on a topic in a relatively informal setting. And that is what is interesting. That, combined with the more intimate, personal form factor of YouTube, can make for a type of content that isn't just starkly direct, but wildly variable from creator to creator. That is to say that the content of the video isn't necessarily the draw. Much of the time, it is the personality on display, the way the content is explored. In fact, it doesn't particularly matter if the opinions or takes are functionally identical to other videos, so long as the person is different. As time has gone on and the format has become more established, so too have the hallmarks of it. You could look to early Danny Gonzalez or Drew Gooden videos as setting the stage for the content. Curtis Connor's style was massively influential to the editing, and as time has gone on, many creators have left their mark on the way that these videos have developed. What hasn't changed, though, is the most interesting part to me. The commentary genre is built on individual personalities stating their opinions. So I might pose the question, why are these questions so inoffensive? If a genre is meant to converge on the individual, if the primary reason the genre is interesting is because of that person, then why so often are the takes identical and the comments filled with audience members agreeing or saying, "You expressed what I thought but was unable to put into words"? If the videos were truly based on the personal opinions of the creators, one would expect more dissent, more backlash, that some takes would be particularly subversive. And you know, before I get a lot of comments about this, I'd like to lead with, I know it's not that deep. I know it's not that deep. I just think it's interesting. It's something I want to talk about. It's my job. I like talking about my job. And some people might say, you know, I think you're wrong. And I'm fine with that. But I think if I was significantly wrong, it wouldn't be like really relevant whenever a commentary creator has a bad take or like has a dissenting opinion that everybody thinks is stupid. Moist Critical 90% of the time is not living in a lot of people's heads, but when he made the terrible iDubbbz take, which it wasn't a great take, everybody freaked out because it was marginally subversive, right? It wasn't the exact same take that everybody else had. Was it a bad take? Yeah, but like people freaked out because it's not a common one as well. Yeah, I do think there's something to that commentary YouTubers generally will parrot the same talking points over and over again, and that we don't mind, you know? It's the same because it's comfortable. And when it becomes uncomfortable, that's when there becomes backlash. I'm really sleepy. I have to sleep. Oh, that was gross. That was fucking gross. Oh, God. Well, all of this that I'm saying is kind of converging on a single point, an opinion that I have, that commentary as a genre might be inherently not subversive. Now, that's a big claim, so let me explain. First off, yes, any politically or socially skewed opinion will be subversive to somebody, right? But what I'm talking about here is more of an in-group phenomenon. The function of commentary is no longer to critique what is worthy of critique or to commentate on what is explicitly bizarre or funny, but to roll with a certain zeitgeist, to understand what works, why it works, and to be able to capitalize on it effectively. Whether that be the trend of reviewing weird or bad B-movies and TV shows, discussing TikToks and YouTube shorts, or simply reflecting on the most recent drama, the objective here is not necessarily to find something brand new, but to find something that slots neatly into the algorithm and then explore it in your own way.
This means that most successful creators making commentary, myself included, aren't necessarily looking for novelty, aren't looking for subversive things to talk about. Rather, we are focused on understanding what will bring in views. This is only an explanation of the ubiquity of certain topics, though. It does not explain why the opinions are often identical or uninventive. The hard truth is that building a YouTube channel most of the time is about carefully cultivating an echo chamber that is accessible enough to expand into. To not just find your niche, but to find a niche, and participate in that niche effectively enough to grow. Because of this, there are opinions, political, social, and otherwise, that may not be stated explicitly because the creator is mortified of alienating their audience. This fear is built into the way that creators grow now, not by taking risks, but by safely scaling the hill on all fours. Understand that this is not necessarily a criticism, but a reality. As creators learn to move with the whims of the algorithm and the audience, they shapeshift from an individual to a vessel, a recipient of points doled out by a pleased audience. If one excels at accepting feedback, avoiding controversy, and satiating a comfortable niche, they're rewarded with consistent viewership and growth. The commentary genre is one that is conveniently able to disguise its malleable nature through its criticism of others. But the videos myself and many others make may just be benign, ineffective, created for a subset of people whose minds don't need changing, and people who don't want their minds changed. It is astonishingly easy to find somebody who you agree with these days. Someone who loyally uploads content that reaffirms your beliefs, your feelings, your worldviews, who not only tells you that what you believe and think is right, but the way you come about it is too. This is why the Colleen Ballinger situation is an absolute slam dunk for the commentary genre. There is an absolutely irrefutable villain, a wrong that is not only easy to expose, but entertaining in its ignorance and unawareness of self. All of this to say that it may not be the creators, but the format, the platform they stand on, the crushing force of public consensus. In a scenario like this one, it feels almost violently wrong to sit on the sidelines, but just as sickening to participate. The emergence of a second wave of similar videos examining the similarity of the previous videos is symptomatic. We are reaching content critical mass. There are dozens of videos for people to watch on any given topic. Small creators clamoring to speak about the latest debacle, huge creators raking in reliable views, and an audience given so many options that it almost feels rude to complain. YouTube is swelling with identical opinions, think pieces that bleed into each other, and videos that might as well be one pulsating mass, lumbering through the homepage, absorbing others into their oblivion. And all of this to say that I feel insecure. I feel guilty. In my last video, I admitted to thinking I was pumping car exhaust into the ears and minds of my viewers, to being a stay-at-home loser. And that truly is a me problem, but it feels a lot less like a me problem when it seems like everyone else encourages it. Last week, I played Cities Skylines for the first time, a city simulation game, and I decided I would turn on the cheats. Infinite money, infinite resources, etc. I poured millions of dollars into developing a city where happiness was omnipresent. Everyone had everything they could possibly want in a super society. There was nothing to be desired. Every need was met. It was attractive, it was idyllic, and it was disgusting. I wanted it gone. I terraformed for what felt like an hour, routing the river into the heart of the city. As floodwater rushed into it, in a matter of minutes I watched innocent civilians slowly flee. Even with the entire city knee-deep in water, though, thousands remained. I cut the power, remarkably few left. I cut the water lines, I buried the city, I severed the connections to the freeways, the only way out. Finally, the city was empty, a wasteland subsumed by the surrounding waters, full of itself. Happiness had dropped to zero, not a single soul lived there. I drained the water to reveal a veritable apocalypse. The land was bone dry, no vegetation, hundreds of abandoned storefronts and homes laid to waste. In a final decision before I went to sleep, I decided to reconnect the roads to the highways just to see what would happen. To my surprise, within minutes, hundreds returned. Then over 1,000, their brightly colored vehicles zipping past the dilapidated buildings and barren earth, constructing a new life on top of the old one. In the end, it wasn't about me. They just needed a place to convene. Hi, thank you so much for watching my video. Thank you so much to Incogni for sponsoring. Again, link in the description, first 100 people, 60% off. Cool. Last little thing, I mentioned in my last video that a friend, Alexis Miles, has been struggling a lot with keeping up with their bills. They've been struggling with relapse. They've been recovering from an apartment fire for a few years now. They lost their job. So if you have any money that you can send their way, they're really trying to make ends meet right now. The links are in the description. Mutual aid is cool. And finally, subscribe to my Patreon at $2,000 a month. I'm going to release a bunch of unreleased music to exclusively my patrons. Nobody else will be able to hear it. So if you want in on that, go to my Patreon. And also, all of the music that is in this video I made myself and is royalty-free and up on a folder on my Patreon, and you can use it in your videos as much as you want. So if there's any music in my videos that you end up liking, that's where it will be. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourself, take care of others, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and as always, thank you. Bye. Okay, Vomit Girl asks, are you more of a Bert or an Ernie? I am more of a Vomit Girl. Luck asks, which YouTuber do you think is the most likely to try to hack into your channel and impersonate you for clout? And Mia Cole says, Rose, you should answer this one. So I'm going to say Mia Cole. Mia Cole is a vindictive shrew. Aerith says, one of your recent videos showed you fighting Margit in Elden Ring. Have you managed to beat him? And what do you think of the game so far? Have you played any of the other Souls games? And if so, what are your thoughts on them? Yeah, I did manage to beat them. I managed to beat him. I played that whole game, I guess probably going on like 8 months ago now. Amazing game. Really loved it. In terms of the other Souls games, I've hit sort of either a difficulty wall or a tedium wall in all of them. Or I hit a difficulty wall in Sekiro, which I'm just not good enough to beat. But I do intend on playing all those games and playing Armored Core 6 when it comes out. Okay, thank you so much, and go subscribe to my Patreon and give me $1 zillion. Okay. 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 All right. Okay, bye.